You ever notice how when people talk about super advanced alien life, it can start to sound, well, almost religious? It's a pretty wild thought, right? So today, we're going to dive into this really fascinating and honestly kind of provocative idea from Dr. Michael S. Heiser. His whole thing is that for a lot of people, extraterrestrials are basically stepping into the role that God used to play.
And this quote, this right here, is pretty much the key to the whole idea we're talking about today. See, Dr. Heiser's point is that we humans have always had these big, nagging questions. These gaps in what we know about, well, everything. And whatever we use to fill those gaps, that's what builds our worldview. So what happens if the stuff we're using to fill them just gets swapped out?
Okay, so here's the theory, basically in a nutshell. The argument isn't that aliens are literally gods. No. It's that the idea of aliens is starting to function like a replacement for God, especially in a world that's becoming more secular. It's like a direct swap, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to break down exactly how this whole substitution thing supposedly works.
So to really get this, we've got to look at some of the crazy parallels between, old school religious ideas and modern beliefs about UFOs. The source material points out these really specific, powerful qualities that have always been assigned to God, but now you're starting to see those exact same qualities being given to extraterrestrials.
And look, it's a totally fair question. You might be sitting there thinking, how on earth can a belief in aliens replace thousands of years of religious tradition? Well, the answer is that they both seem to offer something very similar. They share these incredibly powerful ideas that tap into our most basic human needs and our biggest questions.
All right, let's jump into the first major parallel. It's a big word, but stick with me. Ineffability. This is a huge concept in theology, and it has a surprisingly perfect match in the world of UFOs and aliens.
So, what the heck is ineffability? Basically, it's the idea that something is so massive, so complex, so other, that we just don't have the words for it. Our brains can't fully wrap around it. It's the quality of being totally and completely unknowable, at least through our own limited human senses.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting when you put them side by side. In theology, God is the ultimate example of ineffable. You know that famous line from the Bible, "My thoughts are above your thoughts." The idea is you can't figure God out on your own. You can only know what he chooses to reveal. Now, think about how we talk about aliens. Their true nature, their intentions, their technology. It's all presented as this giant mystery, something so advanced it's fundamentally unknown, maybe even unknowable to our little human minds. See the parallel? All right, next up, we've got the second big parallel, transcendence. This is all about the idea of a being that is just on a completely different level than us, totally superior.
So what do we actually mean by transcendence? Well, it's about existing beyond our normal physical world. It means we're not just talking about something that's, a little smarter or has better tech. We're talking about a being that is from a completely different and way superior category of existence altogether.
And again, the parallel here is just crystal clear. The God of the Bible is transcendent, by definition, right? Possesses powers we don't, exists without our human limits. But then you look at how advanced aliens are often described. The source points out they're seen as spiritual or psychic, that they surpass us not only in degree, but also in kind. That last part's key. It means they're not just a better version of us, they're seen as being utterly different.
So you take these two big ideas together, being unknowable and being superior, and you start to see the really powerful role they can play in a belief system. It all comes right back to that first thing we talked about, filling in the gaps of what we don't understand.
And this leads to the absolute core question, really. Science is amazing, right? It's our best tool for figuring out the physical world, but it has its limits. It's great at telling us how things work, but it really struggles with the big why questions. So, what happens when we get to the very edge of what science can tell us?
Well, here's how that swap seems to happen. It's kind of like a three-step process. Step one, we humans ask those huge questions that science can't quite answer. Where do we all come from? What's our purpose? Are we alone out here? Step two, for most of history, religion was the thing that gave us the answers. It provided the whole framework. But now, here's step three. The argument is that for some people, ETs are stepping right into that job, becoming this new source of answers for those exact same cosmic questions.
And man, this quote from the source just nails it. It says everything. The belief in these all-knowing aliens, it literally picks up right where science stops. They're the ones who can supposedly tell us about the origin of life, our destiny, consciousness, all the big stuff. They're there to fill that void.
So when you boil it all down, the most important point is this. It doesn't really matter if it's a traditional god or some super advanced alien. The job they do, their function, is almost identical. Both of them give you a way to understand your place in the universe. They both offer explanations for all those deep mysteries that are just beyond what we know right now.
And that kind of leaves us with one last big thing to think about, doesn't it? If this whole theory has some truth to it, then maybe our modern obsession with UFOs and aliens isn't really just about science and space travel. Maybe, just maybe, it's really about something much older and much more human. That timeless search for something, anything, bigger than ourselves to make sense of this crazy universe and our little spot in it.